Hi everyone, Ryan here with Fight Game Analysis, and today we're going to be talking about the left hand of Conor McGregor. But before we jump into that, if you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and click on the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Alright, so Conor McGregor has a big fight coming up January 23rd against Dustin Poirier. So I thought now would be a great time to highlight exactly what it is he does with that left hand. Particularly, I want to focus on how he counterpunches with it. A lot of people see these really clean strikes, these big highlight reel knockouts that he scores, and they think that he's just got tremendous power. And they're partly right. You know, it's easy to see why people think that. I mean, you see what's happening on the screen. You see these guys getting put away. You see him getting smoked in the first round. It's easy to think that he's just got this great power. But it's a little bit more than that. You know, if you put him on one of those machines, one of those striking bags that measures the PSI, I guarantee you that he would have some really good numbers. It would be impressive. But I don't think it would be quite as high as people think. And that's because there's more to getting a knockout punch than just your raw power. You know, it's about the timing and the speed, control of the distance, how you set the shot up so that you can land it, how you try to hide it behind other things so that the opponent doesn't see it coming. The worst punch you'll ever receive is the one that you don't see coming. So if you can figure out ways to hide your punches so that the opponent doesn't see it, man, it's going to put you in a great spot. You know, when you walk into gyms all across the world, there will be all kinds of people that you see working the heavy bag that just land ferocious shots, just heavy shots. But a lot of those guys are nobodies. A lot of them do nothing, and even if they do fight, they end up having mediocre records at best. And that's because there's so much more to it. When you're talking about moving up the ranks, landing that punch on an opponent, not on a heavy bag, there's a lot to it. And then you talk about, on top of that, landing those punches against world-class opponents. Not everybody can do that, but Conor McGregor can. So let's jump in, break down the film, and just see exactly how he uses that left hand to counterpunch.
The first fight that I want to look at, and probably his most famous knockout, is the one where he won the featherweight title. Now, as soon as this fight starts, the first thing that I notice is how light Conor is on his feet. This is really early in the fight. It's the very opening bell. And Aldo's got a lot of power, and he's explosive. So, you know, McGregor doesn't want to get caught with anything early. So he's staying light on his feet, keeping out of distance. Even when he comes in, throws a shot, gets right back out. Now, he's doing that to be defensively sound, but at the same time, he's also trying to set Aldo up. He wants Aldo to have to take a step forward before he's able to get into punching range. That's going to give Conor that little bit of extra time that he needs to be able to land his counter shot. Now, you can see it here. As soon as Aldo takes that step forward, as soon as he starts to throw that right hand, Conor immediately takes a half step back and just a little half step to the side. Now, that gets him out of range, and it gives him the slight angle he needs. Then he just lets that left hand go. You know, it's so accurate, Aldo doesn't even see it coming. It's just a beautiful shot. And it's a perfect example of how you don't need to land the hardest punches to do the most damage. If you threw a punch like that and you measured the PSI, it wouldn't be that impressive. But it's where and when that shot lands that causes so much damage. Now, as a general rule, Conor likes to stand right in front of his opponent. Pretty flat-footed. He doesn't use a lot of lateral movement, doesn't move all around the octagon. It's not how he gets his work done. He uses a lot of subtle footwork, shifts, head movement. That's how he keeps his distance. That's how he creates the angles. Now, one of the key things that he loves doing in a fight is countering his opponent's right hand. Doesn't matter if you're a southpaw, doesn't matter if you're orthodox. He wants to counter that right hand. He stands right in front of you, and he's got a few different ways of doing it. And the way that he does it most often is by throwing the left hand right over the top. And you can tell that it's a move that he's practiced a million times. He doesn't even have to think about it. His muscle memory is just firing. His opponent shoots a right hand, and his left is on a hair trigger. So let's take a look at this fight with Nate Diaz. This is their first one. Now, about midway through the first round here, they're at distance. And you can see Diaz tries to come at McGregor, tries to close the distance and catch him with a jab. Conor just moves his head just a little bit off the center line. Now, that gives him the angle he needs to come right over the top with that left hand. And he wobbles Diaz with it. That's a solid shot. Fast forward here, we'll jump to their second fight. Same scenario. They're at distance. Nate tries to come in with a jab. Conor just slips his head off to the side this time, but now he actually steps into the shot, and he catches Nate with a clean left hand here. About 30 seconds later, Conor's moving forward here, works behind a 1-2, hurts Nate, has him up against the fence, and this is the perfect time where he's able to do some work. Now you look here, Nate's on the fence. He throws out a couple lazy right hands here. And both times, Conor's able to come right back over the top. And with this second one, he actually drops him. And again, you look, it's not the power. He doesn't pop his hip into that. He doesn't turn it over a lot. It's the accuracy, how smooth it is, the fact that Nate didn't even see it coming, and it just catches him perfect and takes him right off of his feet. And take a look at the clock here. You're not even halfway through the first round, and Conor's already countered Nate Diaz's right hand at least a half a dozen times and dropped him with it. It is such a powerful weapon. Now let's jump to this fight with Chad Mendes. Same exact scenario. Chad Mendes, it was funny in the build up to this fight. Conor used to refer to him as a wrestler with an overhand right. And that's exactly what we see right here. Chad Mendes tries to come forward with this overhand right. McGregor sees it coming a mile away, takes a slight little hop back, just gets off to the left, and Chad Mendes misses by an inch, and Conor's just able to land that left hand. And this last fight that I want to take a look at here, and honestly one of his most impressive performances, is against Eddie Alvarez. And it's right back to this same story. Conor's in here showing him a little bit of feints, showing him the left hand, kind of leans in a little bit because he's trying to draw that punch out. And as soon as Eddie comes forward to throw that right hand, Conor doesn't even move his feet. He's already in position, just kicks his head a little bit off the center line, and he comes right back with that left hand over the top, lands clean. And then on top of that, as if that wasn't enough, he had the presence of mind. Eddie Alvarez is still there, follows right up with another one, drops him. We got the same thing about a minute later here. Eddie reaches out with that right hand. All Conor has to do is take a half step back. Bang, he's able to catch him with the left. Now here we are about halfway through the second round. This is going to be the finishing sequence, and it is just all over it for Eddie Alvarez from here. And just like countless times before in this fight, he reaches out with that right hand, and Conor McGregor's got the perfect counter left waiting for him here. It's just beautiful the way he lands it. Follows up with a few more punches, and the fight's over. And one of the things that's so impressive here that I can't stress enough is that it's not about the power. I mean, you see him landing these shots, you see these guys getting hurt, you see him getting out of there, but it's not the power that's doing it. The power is just a function of everything else he's doing. It's the control of the distance, the timing, the way he sets those shots up and lures his opponents into throwing their own punches so that he can counter them. Sometimes in all the bravado, in all the talk and everything else that's going on, it's easy to forget just how skilled of a striker Conor McGregor is. Now, McGregor's got a big fight coming up against Dustin Poirier on January 23rd, and it is going to be interesting to see how that one goes down. There's only been one person who's been able to nullify Conor's left hand, and that was Khabib. And he did it by keeping Conor on the mat. But anybody who steps in there against him is going to have a rock-solid game plan for how they're going to deal with it. And Dustin Poirier knows that as well as anyone. This is a rematch, and Poirier got smoked in the last one, and that was all because of that left hand. So I can't wait to see what kind of an answer he has going into this fight on January 23rd.